It's been 6 months already since Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman first aligned themselves together, forming the faction known as The Vision. This dates all the way back to WrestleMania season earlier this year, when Paul Heyman was forced to align himself with CM Punk in the main event as Punk battled Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania. Which then obviously led to Seth Rollins winning his second Money in the Bank briefcase and becoming World Heavyweight Champion for the second time in his career. Now, just a little over 60 hours after Crown Jewel, it seems as if Seth Rollins' second reign as World Heavyweight Champion could be in dire straits. But the question is, why and how? Well, let's take a look at all of the evidence that has been presented to us this entire year. You guys will have to forgive me. Something just came up. I will be right back. Alright, you guys, I am back. Sorry about that. I know that normally I would never pause my recordings unless something came up. Unfortunately, something did because my mom's dog decided to bark for no reason whatsoever. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right. Anyway, that being said, let's look at the evidence that has been presented to us this entire year. Actually, this actually goes all the way back. Excuse me. This goes all the way back to when Seth Rollins became the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion. Technically not the first ever champion, because obviously the world title goes all the way back to its origins in WCW, but you guys get the point. Seth Rollins won the World Heavyweight title against AJ Styles in the finals of a gold rush in the finals of a tournament to crown a brand new champion. This came about moments after the WWE draft, when Friday Night SmackDown drafted Roman Reigns and the Bloodline over to SmackDown, making the WWE title exclusive to SmackDown. This forced the World Heavyweight title to be exclusive to Monday Night Raw. And in the finals, it was AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, where the winner would become the inaugural champion and would be exclusive to Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins became champion, and over the course of 316 days, Seth Rollins had been in the ring with some of the absolute best that WWE had to offer. Guys like Finn Balor, guys like Damian Priest, guys like Drew McIntyre, and even Braun Breaker at NXT Gold Rush. This matchup sparked a lot of what ifs. And one of the biggest what ifs was, what if Braun Breaker joined forces with Seth Rollins? Not long after that, last year, 2024, Seth Rollins dropped the World Heavyweight title to Drew McIntyre after becoming Cody's Shield at WrestleMania 40, thus Cody Rhodes becoming WWE Champion. Seth Rollins went on to take some time off away from WWE to get surgery done on his knee and on his back, and the surgery wasn't even that serious. So by that point, Seth Rollins came back and went after the World Heavyweight title. However, Bronson Reed had other ideas, because in the fall, Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed had their own rivalry, which culminated at Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Both men had beaten the holy hell out of each other, which again culminated at Crown Jewel. This sparked the other what if. What if Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, and Bronson Reed joined forces together? Well, not only was that question a big if, but it became a reality. Because during WrestleMania season, Paul Heyman decided that at WrestleMania, he would turn his back on CM Punk and Roman Reigns to align himself with Seth Rollins. This incited the Raw after WrestleMania, when Braun Breaker joined the fold, and then weeks later, so did Bronson Reed. For the last 6 months, the Vision has been in the ring with some of the biggest names on Raw currently, including guys like Sami Zayn, guys like the Usos, guys like Roman Reigns, guys like CM Punk, and even also Penta. Apparently, Penta had his own issues with Seth Rollins, which CM Punk and John Cena battled it out for the WWE title, which forced Seth Rollins to get involved. We already know all that bullshit that happened at Night of Champions. However, at Money in the Bank the previous month before Night of Champions, Seth Rollins became Mr. Money in the Bank for the second time in his career with the help of the Vision, even in spite of the MFTs, which was actually Solo Sikoa's clan on SmackDown. Even in spite of the MFTs getting involved, the Vision always had a plan. So by the time we got to SummerSlam, CM Punk finally, after over a decade, became world champion in WWE. But then Seth Rollins came out, cashed in Money in the Bank with the ruse of the century, and became a 2-time champion. This actually sparked a lot of envy in the eyes of Braun Breaker, because people forget that at NXT Gold Rush, he had an opportunity to become World Heavyweight Champion against Seth Rollins in 2023. Fast forward now 2 years later, Braun Breaker did not forget. However, again, as I stated, this sparked a lot of envy, not only in the eyes of Braun Breaker, but also in the eyes of Bronson Reed, and this actually escalated even further during the WrestlePalooza post show just last month, where Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins faced each other holding up their respective titles. Obviously, Cody holding up the WWE title, which he took back from John Cena, and Seth Rollins holding up the World Heavyweight title. This obviously forced Triple H to make the announcement pretty early that at Crown Jewel it would be Seth Rollins, it would be Cody Rhodes for the Men's Crown Jewel Championship, to which Seth Rollins even said it best that he had to win it. And I even talked about it last week in my prediction video, where it was a match that Seth Rollins had to win. He had to win that match no matter what, because what happens if he lost? What does the future hold for Seth Rollins. Well, obviously Seth Rollins was able to finally exercise his demons and defeat Cody Rhodes, but it came at a price, because as Seth Rollins attempted to pull off a coast-to-coast headbutt, Seth Rollins injured his shoulder, and even in spite of the shoulder injury, Seth Rollins was still able to become the Men's Crown Jewel champion by defeating CM Punk, by defeating Cody Rhodes. Excuse me, by defeating Cody Rhodes, thus finally exercising his demons of the fact that he could not defeat Cody Rhodes. Then, just yesterday on Raw, Seth Rollins admitted that he did not need the Vision, which sparked what happened at the end of Monday Night Raw yesterday morning. Braun Breaker hit Seth Rollins with a wicked spear, and then Bronson Reed made his decision, hit Seth Rollins with a tsunami, and Paul Heyman raised both of the Braun's hands up high while Braun Breaker was holding up the World Heavyweight title over his head. This has now sparked some breaking news that we had received yesterday, just several hours after Monday Night Raw, that apparently Seth Rollins is going to be undergoing some tests, to which the shoulder injury could put him out of action indefinitely, forcing Seth Rollins to relinquish the World Heavyweight title at a later date. But because that CM Punk is now the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title, this is going to spark a lot of controversy as to who will face CM Punk for the world title, which could potentially take place at Saturday night's main event. No one knows. No one knows. But because of Seth Rollins' injury, he could be out of action for a very long time. And what's even more insane is that the idea of Braun Breaker turning his back on Seth Rollins was never supposed to happen this early. In fact, it was supposed to take place at some point next year in 2026, months before WrestleMania, which would have sparked the match between Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania. But unfortunately, that did not come to pass, as the injury forced the plans to change. That being said, there's a lot of people that believe that the injury is a work. It's not, because apparently someone had posted a photo on Facebook of him and Seth Rollins together, but apparently Seth Rollins was wearing a sling on his arm, which truly meant that he was legitly injured. But obviously we all thought about that when it came to his leg injury. But this time, I have a feeling this time it could be different. So obviously now Seth Rollins, second reign as world champion, is definitely in dire straits because of that shoulder injury. But now that Seth Rollins is now babyface for the first time in 6 months, the question now becomes, what's next for Seth Rollins? What's next for the Vision? And where does Seth Rollins go from here? Because with Roman Reigns having issues with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins could have no choice but to do the unthinkable and reuniting the Shield one more time. It's It's possible. It's very possible. But knowing Roman Reigns, his ego and his pride will definitely take over, and will just simply say no. But we will have to wait and see. But that's pretty much all. That right there is all the evidence that we need that Braun Breaker is going to be the next World Heavyweight Champion sometime in the next 4 to 8 months. I can guarantee you that within the next 4 to 8 months, we will be looking at a brand new World Heavyweight Champion. But as far as what the future holds for Seth Rollins, the possibilities are out there. We don't really know much about the injuries, and we don't really know where Paul Heyman's allegiance will lie in this whole ordeal. Does he reunite? Does he stay with Seth Rollins? Does he stay with the Vision? Does he go back to being a wise man? What's next? People actually believe that Brock Lesnar could potentially be the new leader of the Vision, which, the idea is not bad. It's not a bad idea, but the thought of Brock Lesnar being the leader of a faction in WWE, especially when his cohorts are Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, is a very scary sight, to say the very least. But we will have to wait and see. But I will admit, that the Vision storyline was actually kind of interesting. I think Seth Rollins made 2025 a little interesting, but he definitely still has a lot to do before he can before he truly retires, because he still has like another few years left in his deal. Who knows? But Seth Rollins as a heel was very interesting. But obviously, we all knew that at some point it was going to backfire, because everybody all over the world, no matter what city they were in, the fans would always sing Seth Rollins' song, and it just was not going, and the heel run was just not going to work out. The way I see it, I feel like Rollins is better suited as a babyface, because truth be told, he's actually won more championships as a babyface than he did as a heel, and that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot. So we will, but again, we'll have to wait and see. We are still pretty young into, if you will, for all intents and purposes, to say the very least, we are still pretty young into what happened this past Monday on Raw, which was just yesterday. So we're still like 24 hours removed from what happened. So there's definitely a lot of room for improvement with the Vision, but there's also still some time for us to find out if Seth Rollins will be able to defend the title against CM Punk. Only time will tell, and we will have to wait and see. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.